Welcome back to another episode of Mishmash Mahlash. I'm your host Abdul, and I know it has been a while, خبرت عليكم, ولكن I'm back here to serve you some fresh and hot content for you to consume. It's not in my personality نخبر عليكم, but it is in my personality to, make up for it. والهضرة على personalities, I wanted to know, are you a Pisces? Or are you an ENFP? Maybe you're an Aquarius, ENTG, maybe. You see, these days, I feel these have been the only way that we can define who we are. يا إما your zodiac sign, or like you have your MBTI sign, or like your love language, or whatever. These have been the only way that we can define who we are. وفي نفس الوقت, I feel through the internet and like humanity as a whole, we're the same. And I kind of wanted to ring a bell and like warn you, hey, our personalities are dead and the death of personalities has begun. Nobody is unique anymore. So that's the subject of today's episode. Stay tuned. Okay, so to explain how the death of personalities أولا, I kind of want to talk about gatekeeping, or like fandoms in general. I don't know about you, ولكن me, a while ago, ماشي دابا to be fair, I used to define myself by the things or the media that I consumed. I remember I used to be a super fan of 21 Pilots, and I used to consume every single little detail about them. I knew the songs by heart. It was my cringy teenager phase, emo music or whatever. And at that point, as I was a teenager, like 15 or 16, I didn't have anything else to identify by. So I felt my personality as a whole was 21 Pilots. Anytime somebody talked shit about them, which to be fair, it's very easy. They're like the Coldplay, like Imagine Dragons, emo music or whatever. I would get so offended because I feel they were kind of offending me first. They were offending 21 Pilots. What I'm trying to say, and you have probably known, or like you were, or like you are, I pray not, I hope you are dava. The one person that is like defining themselves to the contents or the media they consume, and that's how they define who they are. And these people are so easy to like piss off. They are so quick to gatekeep whatever they enjoy, just so they can have the semblance of identity. And that turns out to be an actual thing. You see, it is very common for people to gatekeep. Yeah, that's like normal, whatever. But like a part of the gatekeeping and why people feel offended, why people tend to gatekeep a creator or a music maker or whatever, blah, 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 is because they feel their personality is defined through the media. So they tend to gatekeep the media as a way to compensate for not having a personality, or not having something else going on in their life. Yes, I'm telling you to go touch grass. You should probably start having grass. Is pretty good to touch. And for the longest time, I feel and throughout, like maybe I noticed this, my historical research was like through the early 70s through the early 60s, it feels that's the only way that people have been defining themselves. That you are this fan, or like you are a Swiftie, you are a BTS stan, you are blah blah blah. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I can Taylor Swift's flying joke is pretty funny, and the BTS fandom is like marra they make me laugh. But it feels this has been the only way we've been able to define ourselves. You're either like your like astrology sign, your MBTI test, your love language, and then also like the content you consume, or like the media, or the fandom you follow. And we've kind of lost what it means to be a person, or what is the point of having a personality if we are only able to define ourselves through head words or through head expressions or media or whatever. And to be fair, that is not bad. علاش? Because you might have noticed recently in memes or internet culture or whatever, the rise ديال داك الميم ديال just like me. You know, I'm talking Ryan Gosling for Barbie movie, or Ryan Gosling for the Drive movie, or Ryan Gosling for Blade Runner. I think it's about Ryan Gosling. Wait, is the most obnoxious guy you ever meet has they define themselves through يا إما Fight Club, يا إما Drive, يا إما Blade Runner, يا إما some movie made في العشرينات that's black and white so you can barely make up شنو happening, but it's art, fancy. It's the meme or the phenomenon ديال the just like me, the phenomenon ديالها where we are not able, we're not able to put into words what makes us us, what makes us special, or what makes my personality. Instead, it's obviously we lack السمية ديال الكونسيبت ولا السمية ديال الايديا ولا السمية ديال داك الفيلينغ اللي داك الكاركتر في الميديا represents. So instead we just tend to be like, oh, he's just like me or she's just like me. That's how we've been able to define ourselves or whatever. Like we've been able to be like كنشوفوا في someone who's like نعطي مثال Ryan Gosling مثلا, sure, Ryan Gosling for Blade Runner, and it's pretty popular if you get the scene ديال Ryan Gosling is very popular to be like, oh, he's just like me, because he's like, he's for the movies he's portrayed as this awkward guy who like he can't talk to women, he's like super lonely. وخلاص, I don't need to tell you how this is very common for like a male growing up the internet, because they tend to be lonely. I think this is en général, the internet has made it very lonely, and there is a loneliness epidemic going on. Mais the feeling of loneliness and feeling of being awkward towards women, it's not something unique to our age, obviously. Oh, people they used to give it another name. I don't know what that name is, but I'm pretty sure they had another name for it. ودابا, instead of us using the name, we resorted to newer ways to call هاد اللعبة. So instead of being like, oh, he has the cheese stud, he has the cooties, ما كيقدرش يهدر على with women. Now we just call them like, oh, you're Rizless, you don't have Riz, you're just like Ryan Gosling for Blade Runner. Oh, Ryan Gosling is just like me. It's the loss, but maybe it's the redefinition ديال a concept or an idea that we can define ourselves through with. So instead of being like, oh yeah, I actually kind of feel like I am, هاد الidea اللي كان نيتشه اقترحها في 15th century. I know Nietzsche was not in the 15th century, but just bear with me for the joke. اللي نيتشه اقترح the 15th century, given باللي I am a very sophisticated person, I can obviously share هاد الidea وانت تقدر تفهمني بدون إشكال. No, it's way easier for being like, look at this funny meme, look at this funny meme, look at this guy, he's just like me. That's way and relatable and like fun to share. It makes it easier for us to open up about our feelings or our personalities as we describe them, rather than being like, I am just like Nietzsche. You can be more like, oh, I am just like a character from media, basically. And this rule is great and all, like it kind of loses sense if we start making it about cats and animals in general. I know the memes, they're on TikTok, they're everywhere, but like it's the hamster meme that is currently trending, the hamster meme. And there was also like a while ago where you would just post a video ديال cat and be like, that's just like me. Where does that joke come from? You would be able to trace it back. So like the internet's adoring cats أولاً, and like the autistic memes ثانياً, and the way that they represent Gen Z, where we feel our experience is inhumane, so we relate it to cats instead because they're more goofy and approachable. You don't have to care about this because خرجنا على the point, but also this is what it's like to research and write about internet culture. And I should make this into a degree, صراحة. That would be a great degree. Imagine rolling up positive LinkedIn where you're like, cher réseau, je suis très fier à annoncer que j'ai reçu mon diplôme et mon master à le mimologie, la culture internet, et mon projet de soutenance, c'était mon PFE, c'était it was about the hamster girl and how that relates to capitalism or whatever. Well, point is, it is easier for us to point at things like memes or whatever is trendy and be like, oh, that's just like me, rather than like give words or expressions to the idea or concept اللي makes us us, whether it's emotions or like the way we act or whatever. And it's a matter of like how comfortable you are أولا, because like why would you go through the process of explaining what's it like being a woman, what is it like being in love, when you can just point at a Mitski song and be like, oh, she gets me, I am Mitski, or like, I am the song of Mitski or whatever. So it's way easier to do that, fancy. Well, because of that, we have had a lost of personalities, because the internet makes us consume so many things at the same time, where everyone consumes the same thing. And this is the next segment. So it is undeniable, believe the internet has made us the same person with the same humor and same everything. صراحة. It is this loss that has made it good and bad, actually. It's good and bad. I'll start with the bad and then move on to the good. The bad thing about it, it's the death of personalities. You cannot find something unique or stand out because everyone is being served the same content, especially if you're in the same geographical location or you speak the same language. It's only evidence believe both people will have the same For You page or the same algorithm proposing the same content. Trendy content exists for reasons because so many people consume it at the same time. And as a result, as a consequence, it has become even more like as a way to define who you are is how niche or how unpopular your For You page is. Like, and now I'm special because my For You page is like car. I'm not talking about myself. I'm making an example now. But like someone's Instagram page, مثلا algorithm ديالو reels ديالو كيف انه car crash videos, and then the other guy like car crash videos and like واحد percentage ديال like trendy content. And then another guy will get the same percentage content ديال like trendy content اللي بجوج بيهم شافوا, but then his For You page كتطلع له مرة like unpopular la smaller video creators ديال like I don't know cooking or whatever. Or you can be like special or stand out where you send the career to your friend or whatever and be like, ah, look what I found, because that's not make you bench for your page ديال آخرين صايبين عارف ديالك, if that makes sense. So you as a consequence you create واحد sub personality essentially where you're like, oh, my For You page كتوريني مرة had very unpopular videos, in your For You page كتوريك مرة some niche content. And granted that's good, that's whatever, I don't really have an opinion on that, it exists, whatever. But also I feel believe if we're talking about the percentage trendy or the typical content that everybody sees, it kind of makes it so that everyone has the same humor, so that everyone has the same everything. And I can clearly explain this by an example اللي أفهم immediately, where يبالك مثلا you're scrolling وبالك واحد الريل and في عقلك you thought of the best joke and you thought like, oh, this joke I'm gonna go comment it, I'm gonna go comment at the joke for the comments. And then you open the comments and the most popular comments is the joke اللي كنت عاود تقول. And it kind of, that example alone like shows how like we have the same personalities and like the same humor and everything, because we are being served the same content, the same everything we are. And that's not okay, that's not to be like, oh, the internet is bad, social media is bad. Like, no, I'm not saying that. You can also see this, but like our ancestors or whatever, like the generation اللي قبل منا, because something big happened, it would get published on the news and everybody at that time read the newspaper, so everybody would be in the know of the newspaper, so everybody in turn would have the same ideas and same personality or whatever. Granted, there is a higher percentage ديال anomaly ديال being like the outsider or like standing out from the group, but still everyone was aware of the same thing at the same time. Now it's the internet. Back then it was newspapers. It's not that hard to grasp or whatever. You fucking know I hate making comparisons جل احنا only in our generation only. No, that's such a bullshit excuse. It's a human patterns كيتعودوا مع الوقت, and the death of personalities is basically a clickbait أولا, وثانيا there is some truth to it. It has also been a pattern اللي كيت repeating at the times. It's the human experience. It is not the death of experience. I'm gonna talk about this more for the end, but again, this is just like a preview or whatever. Well, moving on to the last point, how we are losing personality through media. It's capitalism. It's capitalism, my favorite. Okay, it's a mix of capitalism, social media, hyper social media. Okay, so quick tip and a quick secret reveal. Top 10 secrets revealed. Nobody would tell you about how dark the social media is. Okay, so social media rewards people who stand out. That's very clear, obviously. The more you stand out, the more you have a unique experience, the more you are unique, niche. Social media, like algorithm of social media, find it easier for them to recommend you, because it is easier for an algorithm to recommend واحد content that identifies itself as I am this X person making X content for X people. So when the algorithm sees بلي a new person اللي كيتفرج kind of relates to X content or subjects, عداو يسيرفي لهم the same person. So algorithms reward people who try to be as extreme as possible with their personalities. So the point is أن فاش people want the success of social media, and in turn that gives them more money, and in turn that's capitalism, because capitalism encourages having money. It's a free market, not bad, not good. And if you have the central opinion, they are rarely considered, and the rarely considered like subjects, they do not get rewarded for social media algorithms or whatever. And naturally, people who want success for the internet would tend to serve the niche and try to stand out, to always be known as the person who does X thing, as that's easier to get famous of. Why do I say this? Well, I say this because the average person most likely has a centralist opinion. And if not, I will leave and if you're a creator, but really like successful on the internet, I'd follow these extreme people that serve the extreme case of personality. And it kind of makes it difficult, because the results is either you are a centralist and واحد opinion من هنا ومن هنا, where nobody rewards you for that, because the algorithm will not reward you for being a centralist, especially if you're a creator. وفي نفس الوقت, if you are making content that is extreme, لا من هنا لا من تما, you are kind of encouraging people to separate themselves into groups. And first you have groups, you no longer have personalities. You are either a head person or you are either decal person. And people who consume media would associate themselves with one of these opinions. And the people who have personalities, in this example, I'm calling them centralist, they do not tend to stand out, because the algorithm does not reward it. Because for the algorithm, it is bad if you show a person qui consider هجية وهجية. So the people who have a personality, they are centralists, يعني اللي ياخدوا بحقهم. I like this, but also I find it wrong, so I'm gonna like this or this في نفس الوقت. Will not tend to get pushed in the algorithm. So my personality will not be known. Instead, algorithms prefer شي واحد اللي كيسيرفي واحد extreme content or extreme ideology or extreme whatever في واحد النيش. وفاش you have that, as a result, people define themselves in groups. I am either a stand ديال هادي على stand ديال هادي. I am either a conservative or a liberalist. This is political, whatever. It's that type of thing where it leads to personalities being in groups rather than a spectrum. You are either this or that. And it's only rewarded because algorithms reward that. And people tend to follow the reward because success on social media means money, means opportunities. And in capitalism, that means success. So creators who are looking for success, who are looking for virality, would tend to make extreme contests. Points, نقطة, whatever. Okay, so if the last 3 points can loss of personalities through media, and the media we consume, loss through social media, through capitalism, or whatever, this points will talk about the loss of personalities through categorization. And this means the astrology, the love languages, the Myers personality test, وداك الشي كامل ديال like what type of bread, what type of Disney princess are you, whatever. Okay, just a heads up, I'm not trying to hate nor promote like astrology or whatever. It's up for you to believe. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're so cringe. You think the Mercury in retrograde will affect your mood? I don't care, bro. I literally do not care. If you find joy in that, then have at it. But what I'm trying to say هو أن there has been a loss of personality through the popularity ديال categorization. If you ever seen anime, especially anime كيعملوها بزاف, where you have like heroes, and heroes there's S class and then there's B class and then there's A class and C class. People, I think humans in general are kind of obsessed of putting everything in categories, so it's not surprising to me if we have personalities defined through categories. You're either a love language this or love language that. You're either a rising كذا أو لا a sun in كذا. And you're either a 4 letters هذه or 4 letters هذه. And my point is and you shouldn't define your personality through these, because هادو lead through like boxing yourself في واحد القنيز and not able to get out. You will always be defined as داك البرسون اللي is this and this and this, rather than being like I am a free form, I do not have a shape, I simply exist. And this kind of my slight tangent, but it's kind of the advice that people give that you are like recovering from an addiction, rather than defining if you're recovering from an addiction, rather than defining yourself as someone who is abstaining من داك addiction. You don't even care about that substance. You're not someone who's recovering from cigarettes. You just don't smoke. You're not. If you're always trying to think about quitting cigarettes, then you won't quit cigarettes. You just don't have to think about it. That's how you quit it. It's that redefining yourself, basically. That's the point I'm trying to prove of how you, first you give terms to yourself, you box yourself for your personality, and in turn كتبقى تخلق لي micro category اللي ultimately do not make a personality, they make groups. And the next part ديال هاد البارتي is about debunking the personality test ديال MBTI و love languages as well. Starting with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, MBTI for short. It is a pseudo-scientific test that tries to base people on 4 skills out of 4 letters. You are either introverts or extroverts. You are either sensing or intuition. You are either thinking or feeling. Or you are judging or perceiving. And your personality is tested among these 4 scales. And the results كيعطيك واحد 4 الحروف اللي represents who you are. In this world, according to Myers-Briggs, the 2 people who founded it, you're one of 16 personalities. And this test is poor, in a way to write this, and I'll explain. But also it sucks because a lot of companies use it as a scale, or as a way to recruit hires. They think if your personality is كذا وكذا, they make you take the test and see whether your personality is matching the profile كيقلبوا عليه. Is obviously bullshit. And to prove it, the 2 people اللي كتبوا هذا الكتاب, the first person was Catherine Cook Briggs. She was the author ديال هذا الايديا اون جينيرال اللي بدات الريشيرش ديالو في 1917. And for context, she had 0 background in psychology. She only studied political science. وثانيا, she was self-taught in the field of psychometric testing, which is the field of psychology that relates to like giving metrics to psychology. Like it's how تعطي واحد skill to psychological concepts. So this person has 0 background in psychology, wrote هاد الفكرة ديالها ولا هاد الثيوري ديالها, and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers زادت كملت على هادي. And this indicator took off for World War II, where in the US it was used as a way to try to match women a job that would be suitable for them when it came to serve the war. And because of this background, and because of the people that created that test have 0 psychological evidence, it is a wrong and poor way to identify people, to make this your personality. It's innovative, but it doesn't stand ground, and that's bullshit. And you know what else is bullshit? the love languages, the five love languages that everybody likes to talk about on Tinder or Bumble, where people are like, oh, my love language is gifts given, and no, my love language is quality time. Scientifically, this has zero standing because أولا, how do you quantify a love language أولا, وثانيا, if there was to be love, then surely there would be more than five languages. لا, it doesn't have to be contained for a simple value. You either quality time, you either this, you either that. I don't understand how this became. Oh, I kind of get how it became popular because it gives people an excuse to be like, to identify as a way to be like, oh, my love language is this and my love language is this. And if these two match, then you're like, oh, we're a perfect partner. It's just another bullshit metric people tend to know so they can, like, in an attempt to be more interesting, basically. The love language itself is bullshit. I personally, I think it's bullshit, and science agrees as well. And I don't want to be the person that's like, according to a scientific paper, this means your argument is false. No, I think also feelings have to be considered, especially are talking about like she concept. But the problem with love languages is that it also promotes a toxic love. Basically, if you are with a partner, you are like, both of you get it, whether then like stopping this emotional abuse for both parties, the book or the love language theory would theorize and be like, la, it's just because your love language doesn't match with theirs, so maybe you should try to match their love language, and then you would have a happier relationship. It promotes like staying in an abusive or toxic relationship rather than, letting that shit go and finding a better partner. They would just match and click, instead of justifying it through like, it's just your love languages aren't compatible, so try to adapt to their love language. It is a bullshit model for a bullshit theory to try to quantify love and try to find love that would match. Just go out, touch grass, for the love of God, touch grass, sex with another human, and eventually you'll find love, bro. It is that simple, حرفيا. قبل ما نسال segments and move on to the next segments, I know a lot of people would be questioning like, oh, I wonder what his opinion on astrology is. I don't want to talk about it, OLM, because it's not for me to determine. If you fully believe like the planets affect how you are or whatever, sure, whatever. But what does bother me about astrology is people who try to define themselves, who try to force themselves or their personalities to act accordingly to what their star sign or their rising or their whatever sign tells them to be, rather than just being the personally who they are. It can be a fun side hobby or whatever, but also it's, if you're trying to self-fit yourself into the prophecy of the astrology sign, then you are only harming yourself because you're not trying to act according to your personality. Apart from that, I don't want to comment everything else because it has an ancient history or whatever, and I don't want to get in touch with that. I just want to debunk MBTI love languages because they're generally shit and they should be forgotten and burned, and discarded. So the question remains, if the internet's قضى على our personalities, محا our personalities, and if categorization بحال break مع MBTI or love language وداكشي قضى على our personalities, then did older people have a personality? No, fuck no. But bro, they also had the same issue. As I mentioned قبيلة, this is not a Gen Z or a millennial issue. This is a human issue. The problems that we have Taba also apply to them and even the people before them. It is not something new, and the generation after us will also have the same problems with the same solutions and everything. The pursuit of trying to find a personality or trying to stand out or be unique has always been relevant to the human life. I'm just look at every philosopher out there and how all of them try to stand out against the grain and be like, people do kada kada, but I am different, I do kada kada. Even though this is the same philosopher to this time, I'm sure you are able to find who also relate and match the same personality. Nietzsche would have a field trip, would be so joyous of current egoistic narcissistic influencers or whatever, and conspiracy theorists would fucking love Descartes, the way like he questions everything. I think it's Descartes, or is that Kant? I don't know. Wait, the philosopher who doubted everything. Still, my point is when having a personality or fearing the death of personalities has been a human experience that transcends time. It is nothing new, and it will not. We won't ever cure ourselves of it. Hence, it is a human experience. The internet or media or categorization is only a tool that allows it to happen. It was going to happen one way or another. ما كانش الانترنت كانت تكون حاجة أخرى. Just like the people before us did, basically. Ultimately, wish had a problem? No, not really. Why are we obsessed on trying to be unique? Why are we obsessed with trying to be the most popular person or like trying to be as unique as possible? So long as you have friends you can laugh with, so long as you have experiences you have lived, you have nothing to prove for no one. Had struggle you're trying to define who you are or be a personality, it does not matter. This resurgence will always exist. We always have a struggle to be as unique and be as popular and be as whatever. It doesn't matter. You are the culmination of every person you have met. That alone is enough to make you feel special. Or tomorrow today, you have affected somebody else and made their personality something new. الموسيقى اللي تلقتي في the car when you were with your friends has inspired your friend to become a fan ديال هاد البand, and in turn هما will inspire somebody else to listen to the band. In the same time, your friend invited you to and like treated you to a meal for the first time, which basic, then that's a new part of your personality. You are the culmination of every person. That enough should be joyous in itself. You don't have nothing and no one to prove in Headal Quest. You're trying to be as unique as possible, where you can be defined in a room amra with people or whatever. But well, that's not the point, because you know who has the coolest personality of anybody في the universe? It is you, the listener. With that, as كنت الحلقة ديال مشماش محلاش. I hope you had fun. It was very joyous to record. I felt بحال راه راجع ليا من Tumblr فاش I recorded the episode. But if you did enjoy the episode, then recommend it to a friend. Maybe share it with them. Share it on your story. Maybe even connect with me on Instagram at abdonejam, abdonegam. And until next time, bye.